Stop scrolling and comparing yourself to everyone else's highlight reel. You're just setting yourself up for failure and self doubt. Today, we're talking about why comparing yourself to others, especially on social media, is killing your dreams. Let's get it. Yo, what's up, family? Good morning to all you beautiful, brilliant, abundantly blessed beings, and welcome back to yet another present moment. This is the Ace Anderson Show, where we go live every Monday morning to provide you with weekly inspirational and entrepreneurial tips and tricks to help you ace your life. Now, congratulate yourself for making it to another beautiful dawn with me, your dedicated guide on this journey of growth and self-discovery. If you don't know by now, I am an actor, a rapper, a comedian, a filmmaker, a poet, the ace of all trades, the modern Renaissance man, Ace Anderson, and I am so happy to be here with you for another blessed week. Now, as we embrace this first light together, I want to extend a special shout out to all you early risers joining in. Your dedication to starting the week with intention and positivity is what makes the A-Team extraordinary. So, grab your favorite morning brew. Y'all know I like to drink alkaline water, and let's explore, illuminate, and inspire ourselves to be better with mindful conversation. Now, today, I'd like to tackle the dangers of comparing yourself to others on social media and in business, and how it can undermine your self-confidence and success. We'll discuss the dangers of comparison, how social media amplifies it, the psychological effects, real-world examples, and strategies to break free. So as we embark on this week's adventure, let us always remember to align our hearts with the fruit of the Spirit, that is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Let us trust these divine nine to guide us on the path to living a life that resonates with our most authentic desires. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're talking about why comparing yourself to others is killing your dreams, right? You ever caught yourself thinking, why am I not as successful as them? Or I'll never make it because they've made it. They got the bag, right? I can't do that. That's the comparison trap. And we all fall into it, right? And you know what I'm talking about. Scrolling through social media, you're seeing someone else's success, and suddenly you're thinking about, like, why am I not there yet? Right? It's easy to get caught up in it. But here's the truth. Comparison is sabotaging your dreams. It's doing it quietly. Every time you look at someone else's life and think, why not me? You're losing focus on your own path. Did you know that it's actually human nature to compare, though? Like, we actually do that on a regular basis, just based off human nature. We've been doing it since the beginning of time. Psychologists say it's part of how we evaluate where we stand in society. So it's natural to compare yourself. You have to know how to orient yourself and know where you stand in society, right? When we go to school, especially, that's really where it starts. Especially in middle school, when we turn 11, we start to gain our first, our self-awareness and our consciousness, and you start to learn things that might not be so cool. I remember I learned, one of the first things I learned was that it wasn't cool to carry around Cheez-Its in your pocket. Like, I used to put Cheez-Its in my pocket because, I like to have a little snack for later. But I quickly learned that was not cool. Like, my friend Richard was like, hey man, like, girls actually don't like that. That's kind of weird. Your pockets are all crusty and everything. I was like, yo, this is like a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Why hasn't nobody else thought of this, right? But, you start to see how other people are moving, and you start to compare yourself. So it starts like pretty much early, like at 11 years old, when you start to develop your consciousness, 10, 11, and you start to live on your own. You start to form your own identity outside of what you've been told by your parents, by your church, by your school, or your teachers. So back in the day, it helped us survive, right? Knowing if someone had more food or better resources helped us make decisions. But we're not cavemen anymore, yet we're still stuck in that survival mindset. According to a study from the University of Michigan, constantly comparing yourself to others, especially on social media, is directly linked to feelings of envy, which we talked about last week as being one of the 7 deadly sins, insecurity, and depression. So, what you think is motivation is actually just poisoning your confidence. Like, a lot of us go on social media trying to be motivated and like thinking that, oh, this is inspiring me to do something different. But a lot of times it's not, man. A lot of times we're, short of content like mine, you know what I'm saying? Where, I'm just trying to help y'all grow and help y'all glow. A lot of social media is just really poisoning our minds. It's really just poisoning our confidence and not making us feel adequate. And every time you compare yourself to someone else's success, you're pushing yourself deeper into doubt. Social media doesn't help. We all know it's a trap. And I'm not saying social media is bad, right? But what I am saying is that it's not real life. Social media is just a highlight reel. You see people's wins, their polished moments, the perfect shots, but you never see their struggles. You never see their losses. You never see their sleepless nights. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's red carpet moments, right? And the Bible warns us about this too. In Galatians 6:4, it says each one should test their own actions. When they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to somebody else. God made you unique, right? When you compare yourself to others, you're not only doubting your own path, but you're also questioning God's plan for you. I'm motivating myself, but I hope I spoke to anyone in need of some help. Let me coach you. Your purpose is, from what I can tell, just to know who you are as your most future self, then fatal mold you. Compare yourself to nobody else. You just control you. You're flawed just like everyone else. So there's no use. You're better off just being yourself, because that's so you. So go you. Do whatever you gon' do. Don't mind me. See, I'm just trying to provoke you to go ahead and do whatever you supposed to, because in the end you'll regret whatever you don't do. Oh. Yo, let's be real, man. Do you ever feel good after comparing yourself to somebody else? Of course not. Right? That feeling of frustration and envy or doubt, that's proof that you've fallen out of alignment with your true self. And we all know that the aligning with your true self feels like love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. And if you're not feeling those things after you take a certain action, then you've taken the wrong action. It's time to take a different action, right? You're just that is proof that the action that you took did not serve you getting into heaven. And we're talking about the heavenly state of being, which is embodied by or characterized by love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Your emotions are your compass. When you feel bad, it's a sign that you're not where you need to be mentally or spiritually. So you always want to remember, that's the thing that you need to drill into your head. Those, the divine nine. Am I feeling love? Am I feeling joy? Am I feeling peace? Am I feeling patient? Am I feeling kind? Am I feeling goodness? Am I feeling gentleness? Am I feeling faithfulness? Am I feeling self-control? If the answer is no to any one of those things, then it's time to take a different action. It's time to try something different. Think different thoughts. Put yourself in a different mental state, because that's the only way that you're going to achieve the state of being which you want to achieve. And you want to be in the state of receivership, where you're receiving the life of your dreams, or you're receiving the love and the joy and the peace and the patience, and you're receiving all the gifts, all the fruits of your labor, right? Because you're always in receiver mode, but when you're feeling negative emotion, you're receiving negative manifestations. So comparison, you never feel good when you compare yourself to somebody else. Comparison is more than just a bad habit. It's a thief. It steals your joy. It steals your confidence and your focus. And when you let it, it kills your dreams one scroll at a time. Social media is also, it just amplifies the problem, right? Social media is the breeding ground for unhealthy comparison, because you're constantly scrolling. And, there used to be a time where social media, like, it would stop, like you would hit the end of your feed, right? That time is long gone, where you can actually hit the end of your feed. So you can scroll for hours and hours, and it's just an infinite scroll. Infinite, and it never stops. You never hit, like, they don't do pages anymore, right? Where you can click and go to the next page. You remember when Google used to have the O's, it'd be Google, right? Like, it doesn't do that anymore, because they learned that it's more addictive, it's more satisfying to just continue to be able to scroll. Right. And so that's killing you. That's killing your dreams. It's killing it's just making it feel like there's an abundance of people doing way better than you, and you're just comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. Right. Social media isn't helping us. It's not okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. I don't want to, like, because obviously, like, listen, I'm on social media right now. You're on social media right now. Okay. But you got to be aware of how you use it. Social media is a tool, just like money is a tool. Anything is a tool. And something that's a tool can also be used as a weapon. Right. And so these are things that are useful, but a lot of people get trapped into it, right? They get trapped in the world of, there's so many people out here doing better than I'm doing. And you got to get out of that. You got to get out of that habit, right? Social media isn't helping us. It's just feeding the comparison trap, right? You scroll through Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and you see everybody else's perfect life, the wins, their highlights, and it's all curated, right? It's curated, because think about it. When you post stuff, you don't post about, like, oh my God, I went through another breakup. And you typically don't follow people that are posting stuff like that, when they're posting a lot of negative content. So you got to remember that it's filtered. Right? It's a filtered reality designed to make everything look better than it really is. And it's not so much like you're not doing that on purpose, right? It's just like, I'm not about to share this argument that I had with my wife to social media. Like, so of course we're going to look like the perfect couple. Like, we never get into fights and everything looks great. And we're just like, I'm not posting that type of content there, but we do get into fights. We do have arguments. We do. Sometimes we're on the verge of, like, separating, and it's like, is this really what we want to do? And we're really questioning things, and we have to go to therapy, and we have to hash things out, and we gotta, there's lots of stuff that you don't see on social media. And you have to really, really be aware of that. You have to steel your mind. Steel, Steel. You have to really steel your mind against the comparison trap when you get onto social media. It's like, you know, comparing your real life to someone else's social media feed is like comparing your raw footage to somebody else's blockbuster movie, right? You like there's this completely edited and done up with CGI, and you're like, oh my god, like I just have this like raw iPhone footage, and like there's no music and the sound is bad and it's not mixed, and like you can't really tell the story, and it's just all horrible. Like nobody's gonna buy this, right? But it's like their blockbuster movie looked like that too. You're not seeing all of the raw cuts and the mistakes and the bloopers, right? You don't really get to see all of that stuff. And so you got to remember that when you get on social media. You don't see the struggle, you don't see the stress or the bloopers behind the scenes. All you see is the final cut. Right? We're living in an age where success is measured in likes and followers and comments. But what are we really comparing? Half the time we're looking at people we don't even know, comparing our real everyday struggles to their beautified, photoshopped life. Do you know how many people you're envying on social media? Do you know how many people you're envying on social media are actually struggling behind the scenes? A lot more than you think. And studies prove this. A study by the Royal Society of Public Health found that Instagram is ranked as the worst social media platform for mental health. Why? Because it fuels feelings of inadequacy and anxiety. Seeing others' so-called perfect life, right, leaves us feeling like we don't measure up. And here's the kicker. We're comparing ourselves to a complete illusion. That's the thing. Like, it's not even real a lot of the times. Like, people, like, and now they have these like AI software platforms that can change the way somebody's body looks and their face in a video. Like that used to be just for photos. Like, so it became easier to tell when people were, when videos started to become more of a thing. It was like easier to tell what somebody really looks like. But you can't even really tell what somebody really looks like because they can doctor it up. And a lot of people are getting plastic surgery now and doing all these other things now. And it's like, like it's all doctored up. Like, so with the plastic surgery plus the filter, the Instagram filters, it's like, it's just horrible. It's just absolutely horrible. It's scary out here. It's like, walking into a house of mirrors. Every reflection is distorted, but you look at one version and think that's the real thing, but it's not, right? And it. The problem is we still internalize it, and it eats away at our own self-worth. You see people traveling, and oh my God, these people are traveling all the time. These people are always, but you don't know that person's broke. You don't know that person just maxed out their credit card. You don't realize like that the choices that they're making are their life, right? And maybe they're not the best for them. Maybe they're in a stuck place, maybe they don't have their loved ones. They don't have their family. They don't have a good relationship, right? Or they don't have, children that love them and respect them, right? So these are things that you got to really remember when you're scrolling and when you're looking and comparing yourself to other people. Like, it's just not really helpful. So I want to get real for you for a second. Do you ever stop and ask yourself how many people are struggling behind those perfect photos, right? How many are drowning in debt while flaunting luxury, right? Because I'll tell you this, I'll be honest with you. When I went to Brazil and I went to Jamaica, back-to-back trips, and I was like, right up until I went on the trip, like I was struggling. I was struggling financially, right? It was like, whoa, I don't know how I'm gonna make this trip work. I don't know if this is gonna work. And luckily, things did work out. Obviously, I'm here. That's 2 months ago. But, in the moment, it felt like it wasn't gonna come through. Things weren't gonna happen. And it all did. It all ended up working out beautifully. And but it's not like I'm super rich, and super wealthy, right? Like I still got struggles. I'm still trying to figure out how to make ends meet. I'm still trying to figure out how to make money in certain ways. And so, you can't really compare yourself, to social people on social media, right? It's a lot of people battling mental health issues while smiling for the camera. There have been times where I've done live broadcasts. I've gone live right after an argument, and it's not like this is cathartic for me. Doing these live streams and talking to y'all, like, it's cathartic, it's helpful for me. And I'm sure if you go back and watch some of them, you can see my moods, or you could see my energy is shifted, and depending on like what happened the day before, or like where I am energetically. But I try not to, I try my best not to be fake, but I'm not gonna, show everything that I'm experiencing and like let my frustration show. And so you got to take that into account, right? Like I'm going to put on a face, right? Like it's just natural. Like, and we do that. And in some ways, it's helpful for me. I think it's helpful to do that, right? As a person, like, you don't want to just be like, damn, life is hard and everything sucks, and my life never going well. I don't think that that's healthy at all. I think, I do my best to, like, practice what I preach, and embody the fruit of the spirit, and remind myself to be in a state of love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. I am always constantly trying to embody those characteristics. And so, I do put that on, and being in public, being around other people helps me to do that. Now, I also take time for myself, and I take time to get my mental health where I need it to be. But you don't necessarily know what I might be struggling with, right? Unless I'm very open about that, and people rarely are. And I try my best to be as open and honest as I think is appropriate. But, I also I don't share everything. And so that just has to be taken into account when you're watching people on social media, when you're watching people live and in the public eye, right? Like, you think their life is just great. Oh, like they got all this money, and they're always traveling, and they're always working, and they're always doing all these things, but you really don't know what they had to do to get where they're at, and what they're going through in terms of dealing with where they're at, right? And having a lot of money requires, comes with a lot of responsibility, and there's a lot of people that need to be fed, right? When you're making mad money, it's a lot of people under you that are relying on you, and that comes with its own mental challenges. So that's why comparing yourself to what you see on social media is a trap. It's all smoke and mirrors, and you're comparing yourself to something that honestly doesn't even exist, right? Listen to this. A study by the American Psychological Institute, or American Psychological Association, found that people who spend more time on social media had significantly higher levels of anxiety and lower self-esteem. They found that social media comparison on platforms like Instagram and Facebook leads to feelings of inadequacy, and in extreme cases, even depression. So it's no coincidence that the more time you spend scrolling, the worse you feel about your own life, right? You got to start to limit. I think, turning on those limits, on your iPhone. I'm sure you could do it on your Android as well, but you can set those limits. Like, if you're not really using social media for a specific purpose that is going to help you be productive and constructive towards whatever your mission is, then you should definitely limit your time. Like if you find that you spend a lot, I would even do it just to know how much time you spend on social media. I would start to get aware of how much time you're spending on it, and like, are you getting the results that you want? Is your following growing? Are you like really building anything? You know, are you using it to reach the masses in terms of whatever your entrepreneurial goals are? Really check yourself with that, because a lot of people just like, you know, a lot of people see the value in social media, but then they're not really harnessing the value in social media. So, you know, the truth is, like, you know, there's people that you're comparing yourself to, they're not better than you. You know, they're showing you what they want you to see. And the brutal reality is you're falling into the trap of comparing your worst days to somebody else's best moments. You're stacking your struggles against somebody else's successes, and that's a battle you'll never, ever win. So why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this and comparing ourselves? The more you compare, the more you drift away from your own path. Your focus shifts from your goals to their goals. It's like you're running a race, but you keep looking at the person next to in the next lane. Guess what? You're going to trip every single time. Comparing yourself to others is a thief. It's stealing your joy, your confidence, and your motivation. Right, let's talk about what comparison does to your mind. It's not just bad. It's not just bad for your mood. It's actually rewiring your brain, and not in a good way. Every time you compare yourself to someone else, it triggers a cycle of negative emotions. And we know that thoughts that fire together wire together. So when you have these thoughts, these impulses that are negative, then you spend more than 17 seconds on one of those thoughts, right? 16 seconds, let's call it. If you spend then you're going to attract more negative thoughts and negative emotions to that experience, and you're just going to attract more. And like attracts like, right? Where energy goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. And so you're just flowing more negative energy to wherever you're focused on, wherever that attention is. And it's hard to take your attention off of negative emotions. So the goal is to put yourself in a state where you're thinking in a higher, you're thinking in a higher vibration. You're thinking, you're practicing things that put you in a positive state. So this, you know, just creates a feedback loop of self-doubt, insecurity, and ultimately it slows you down, right? Think about it. When you see somebody else's success, their big win, their highlight moment, suddenly you're not just frustrated, you're questioning your own path. You start asking yourself, am I good enough? Am I even capable of doing what they did? You know, look, there's a reason that Theodore Roosevelt said that comparison is the thief of joy, because he was right? The more you compare, the less joy you feel about your own progress. It's like getting someone into it's like letting somebody into your house to steal your best stuff, and then you just stand there watching it happen, right? Like, you're letting them into your spirit, into your soul. When you're scrolling, it's like looking at other people and be like, oh, it's one thing to cheer people on and be like, dang, I love that. That's awesome. You know, and it's another thing to be inspired. But a lot of times we get lost in that. We get lost in the inspiration, and the inspiration just becomes overwhelmingness. I don't know what the noun for just becomes overwhelm, I think is the noun for that. Yeah, man. So comparison steals your joy. It steals your motivation. You know, once you're in that mental space, all you're doing is reinforcing a negative narrative. One that says you're not enough, you're behind, it says you're failing. And, you know, let's be honest, that mindset is really what's holding you back. Right? The only thing that's holding you back is you. You're convinced that you can't do it for whatever reason. You're convinced that it's not gonna work out for you. And that's not right. That's not good. You don't want that for your life. A study by the American Psychological Association shows that comparison often triggers depressive symptoms and lowers self-esteem. The more you focus on what others have, the less you appreciate your own achievements. It's like running on a treadmill while staring at someone else climbing up a mountain, right? Like, you're moving, but you're not getting anywhere. And you're looking at them like, bro, you're in a different game than they are, right? So the more you compare yourself, the more you distance yourself from your own goals. You start trying to fit into someone else's version of success. And that's when you lose sight of your own path. The more you convince yourself that you're not enough, that's the voice of fear. It's not truth. Look, let me ask you something. When's the last time that you actually celebrated your own wins without comparing them to someone else's? When's the last time you were genuinely proud of yourself without scrolling through Instagram to see what everybody else was up to? Psychologists call this the upward comparison trap. You look at someone else who seems to be doing better than you, and instead of feeling inspired, you feel deflated. You feel inadequate. And here's the worst part. When you're in that mindset, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you believe that it's true. You start to believe that you're not capable of achieving the same success, so you do not even try. Or worse, you just try to copy somebody else's path, which never works because you're not them. You don't have access to the same resources that person has. You have access to your resources, but there are benefits to every perspective on the chessboard. There are benefits, there are pros to being in every place on the chessboard, okay? So you have to remember that. Copying someone else's journey will never get you to your destination. You have your own race to run, and it looks different from everybody else's, right? Think about Steve Jobs. If he had spent his time comparing himself to IBM or Microsoft, we wouldn't have Apple today. He didn't compare, he didn't copy, he stayed in his lane and innovated. And everybody wanted to copy him, and that's why they're not him. I'm him. That's Steve Jobs. I'm him, okay? I'm him. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. I have my vision. I have my vision of my future. I have my vision of what is to come, what can be created, what can be manifested. And I'm comparing myself only to my past, to what I did yesterday. The moment you start comparing and copying, you're no longer creating, right? You're just chasing somebody else's shadow. They did that. I'm just copying that. You're not creating, and you're made in God's image to create. And here's what happens next. You lose your passion. When you're constantly comparing yourself to others and you're copying other people, you're not passionate anymore. Now it's just like, I want to win. I just want to win against that person. And you're playing a infinite game with finite rules. You're trying to win, like you're going to beat them. Like there's going to be some measurement to show you that you won over somebody else, and it's just not going to work. You're going to lose fuel. You're not going to be fueled by your own purpose. You're fueled by fear of not being enough, fear of falling behind. And when fear takes over, creativity dies. So if you're stuck in this comparison loop, just remember this. Right? You're killing your own dreams, not because you're not capable, but because you're focused on the wrong path. It is sin. Sin is an archery term, hamartia. Hamartia. To miss the mark. You are missing the mark. You are not following the path of your life. You are trying to chase someone else's path, and you're over here. When this is your path, this is your lane. This is your lane, and this lane, you have to trust that this lane will bring you everything that you desire if you just keep going down this path. You're not behind. You're just running a different race. Okay? I know. I know what you're thinking. All right, Ace. I get it. Comparison is killing my dreams. But how do I stop? Well, the good news is you can break free of the comparison trap, but it takes work. Real intentional effort to shift your mindset and reclaim your focus. Now, let's talk about practical steps, okay? You could take these steps today to stop letting comparison sabotage your success. First and foremost, practice gratitude, okay? That's number one. I know. You've heard it before. Be grateful, count your blessings, but listen, I'm going to tell you, it's important. When you're stuck in comparison mode, your mind is fixated on what you don't have, what others have, right? That you think you're lacking. I wish I want this. I want this. I'm in this want. And when you're in the vibrational frequency of want, you will never be in the vibrational frequency of have. They are two different vibrational frequencies. When you're in the vibrational frequency of lack, you're not in the vibrational frequency of gain, of abundance. And if you want an abundant life, you have to vibrate on the frequency of abundance. And we already know what the characteristics of abundance are: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Okay? So gratitude flips that mindset on its head. You have to be grateful for what you have. Start listing all the things that I do. Wow, I have this. From this perspective. I have this. I have this thing. Whoa, I have this thing. This is great too. I have this. Wow. And you start to just add, and those things attract, and you start, dang, I do have a lot. I got a lot. Okay? I have a lot going on. It forces you to focus on what you do have. Right? When you start focusing on your own wins, no matter how small they may seem, you shift into a mindset of abundance. And guess what? It's the same self-fulfilling prophecy that occurs. Because now you're focused on what you have, you're focused on abundance, you're focused on the successes that you've already achieved, and you fulfill more successes. You're like, dang, I can succeed. I am capable of succeeding because I have succeeded before. I know success is possible. So success will happen for me again and again and again and again. A study published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences found that people who practice daily gratitude have significantly lower levels of envy and resentment. Gratitude literally rewires your brain to focus on the positives rather than obsessing over what you think you're missing. And it emphasis on think, what you think you are missing. So here's what you do every day. Every morning, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Every single morning. This is what I want you to do. Okay? Every morning, you're going to wake up, you're going to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. I don't care if you type it. I don't care if you use a pen, pencil, doesn't matter. Don't think of them, just write them down. Just write whatever comes to you. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. I use my day one journal, and it already has 1 through 5, so I can just type and it already will list them. Write down what you do. Right? It could be something small like I'm grateful for my morning coffee, or I'm grateful for air conditioning, right? It could be something big like I'm grateful for my business taking its first step forward, right? I'm grateful for the LLC that we just booked. I'm grateful for this big job that whatever it is. But it could be something big, it could be something small, but start with 3 things. Right? The point is to ground yourself in the present moment and focus on what's working in your life, because like attracts like. Next step, set your own metrics for success. All right, let me ask you, what does success look like for you? Not for the person next to you, not for your favorite entrepreneur on Instagram, but for you. What does success look like for you? What does heaven look like for you? To have heaven on earth, what does that look like? Set your own metrics for success. Okay, so you're just going to start off, you're going to write out every morning, you're going to write you're going to write 3 things that you're grateful for. Number 2, you're going to set your own metrics for success, right? Too often we define success based on what we see from others, and that's exactly how we fall into the comparison trap, because we're looking at them like, oh, if I had that life, that would be success. No, you have to formulate an idea of success in your own mind. And when you don't have your own goals and your own vision, you end up adopting someone else's. And when that happens, you're setting yourself up for disappointment because their path isn't your path, right? And so here's what I want you to do. You sit down, define your success on your own terms. You're going to write it down. You're going to be specific, right? Maybe for you, success means financial independence. Maybe it means impacting your community or having the freedom to create. Whatever it is, make it personal and make it clear. Because when you know what success looks like for you, you're less likely to get distracted by what others are doing. Remember this, when you define success for yourself, you stay in your lane. And here's another big one. Limit your social media usage. Listen, I get it. Social media is a huge part of our lives, especially as entrepreneurs, right? We have to use it. But here's the thing. You don't need to spend hours scrolling through your feed to connect with your audience, okay? I get on social media to work. I scroll very rarely, okay? I'm scrolling and I scroll to like people and engage with certain things, and then I'm out. I save a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh, this is a good idea. And then I get to work, okay? I get on social media. I don't use TikTok at all. I go on TikTok to post, and that's it. I go on TikTok to post and reply to my comments. And at best, at worst, what I do is I go on there and I search other ideas of things that I can possibly do, other trends that might be happening that I'm going to film. I don't spend a lot of time just scrolling aimlessly. It's very purpose driven every time I'm on social media. Okay, so I want you to limit your time on social media. Studies show that the more time you spend on social media, the worse you feel about yourself. In fact, a report from the Royal Society of Public Health found that social media use, especially Instagram, is directly linked to increased rates of anxiety, depression, and FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So, here's what you do. You're going to set limits. You're going to give yourself 30 minutes a day on social media and stick to it, right? I would even if you're going to be posting every day, if you have a rigorous posting schedule like I do, give yourself an hour, okay? An hour on social media a day, because you're going to post on all the platforms that you can possibly post on, right? And then you're going to spend whatever time you have left responding to comments, commenting back, and saving any new ideas that you might want to come up with, right? But just an hour a day. Especially if it's bad for you. If you're able to limit yourself and you don't feel like, I feel like I'm not really addicted to social media, right? Like it's all good. I'm not like, I don't feel bad when I'm like, oh my God, like if I start to feel like that, I get off. So I don't necessarily do this for myself. I did when I was starting off, because I realized, like, especially early in 2020 when like everything was shut down and I was just like on Instagram all the time, I started to be like, yo, I need to set time limits for this. And that was really helpful for me. So give yourself 30 minutes a day on social media, stick to it, use the time wisely, engage with your audience, post content that's authentic to you, and then get out, okay? Don't spend your time comparing yourself to others. Social media should be a tool for connection, not a weapon for self-sabotage. And finally, focus on your own journey, okay? There's a reason why they say comparison is the thief of joy, because it distracts you from what is in front of you. When you're too busy looking at what others are doing, you're not paying attention to your own path. And here's the thing. You have no idea what someone else's journey actually looks like. You don't know their struggles, their sacrifices, or their challenges, okay? All you see is the highlight reel and you're comparing it to your real life. Imagine running in a race and you're constantly looking over to the person in the next lane, right? What happens? You lose focus, you trip, and before you know it, they're ahead of you. It's the same. There's that video, I don't know, that's circulating with the girl who's she's speed walking, and she's speed walking and she's like looking off, she's like celebrating, she starts celebrating, and then she looks over and then the person is coming up and passes her, right? And that's the thing, bro. You gotta just be focused. Like you can't lose focus on your path, on your journey, right? So the moment you start focusing on somebody else's journey, you stop moving forward on your own. And the only thing that's going to make you feel good about your life is moving forward on your own journey. So stop stopping yourself from moving forward by looking at other people. So the only competition is who you were yesterday. That's it. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So how do we bring this all together? You've recognized the comparison trap, you understand how it's sabotaging your dreams, and you know what steps to take to break free. But let's be real, this isn't a one-time fix, okay? You can't just decide to stop comparing yourself to others and be done with it. This is a daily practice, okay? It's about reconditioning your mind, shifting your focus, and committing to staying in your own lane. And here's something that really stuck with me, okay? I read Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, his second book, I believe, after Maps of Meaning, 12 Rules for Life. I can't remember which rule it is, but one of his rules is compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today, right? Because think about that for a second. You should only be measuring your progress against your own past, not someone else's present. Why? Because you have no idea what path that person took to get where they are. You don't know their struggles. You don't know their failures. You don't know their sacrifices. All you see is the end result. But with yourself, you know exactly where you started. You know exactly what you've overcome. You know exactly how far you've come. The moment you stop comparing yourself to others and start comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, you start to really take control. You stop chasing someone else's success and you start building your own. And that's the only real competition, the person you were yesterday. There's something powerful about tracking your own progress. When you focus on how far you've come, you gain confidence. You see the steps you've taken, the hurdles you've jumped over, and you realize you're moving forward. Maybe not as fast as you'd like, maybe not in a straight line, but you're progressing. And that's what matters, okay? Psychologists back this up. A study from the Harvard Business School found that people who regularly track their own progress experience higher levels of motivation, confidence, and overall satisfaction. Why? Because when you focus on your own journey, you're constantly reminded that you're growing. And we all have the power to keep going. We all have the power to keep growing. We all have the power to keep glowing. So we go, we grow, we glow. You're evolving. And that progress, no matter how small, builds momentum. Everything builds momentum, and that's what it's about. All right, let me ask you, when's the last time that you sat down and actually looked at how far you've come? We spend so much time focusing on what we haven't achieved that we forget to celebrate what we have achieved. And when you're constantly focused on what's missing, you're reinforcing a scarcity mindset. You start believing that no matter how much you accomplish, it's never going to be enough. So here's what to do. Here's what you do. Celebrate your own wins, every single one. Every single one. You closed a sale, celebrate it. You got a new client, celebrate it. You learned something new, celebrate it. You brushed your teeth today, celebrate it. You didn't eat too late. You was able to practice intermittent fasting, celebrate it. Okay? You were able to sustain being off of social media, celebrate it. Okay? I want you to just get into celebration mode. Whatever celebration means, it doesn't mean you got to jump up and do a happy dance. You can do that too. But it means you could say, hey, look, I deserve to play some video games. That's me. Right? It's like I deserve to go out. I deserve to go have some fun. I deserve to go eat some ice cream. I deserve to whatever celebrates the success, and know that you won and you deserve whatever it is that you deem is a prize. Okay? I get to just chill. I get to just sit on the couch and watch a good movie today. That's my celebration. Celebrate your successes, okay? Every single one. Get into the habit of celebrating a new success. Yes, a new reason to celebrate, a new win, right? A new goal. I'm moving forward, okay? Because every win is a step forward, and every step forward is progress. And that's what we're trying to get into the habit of. We're building the momentum of progress. Another thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to move at the same pace as everybody else, okay? As long as you're taking even one step towards your goals, that's enough, okay? One step, that's something to win, bro. That's something to win. You're one step further than where you were yesterday. One step, that's it. We like to practice the 10 minutes a day rule. Right? There's a lot of things that you might be avoiding. So I want you to get a little timer. I have this Pomodoro timer, right? And I can set time like based off of how much time I put, and it can be 10. I can set it to 10 minutes, right? And I like to use this to set 10 minutes a day to do something. And a lot of times, like, it just gets me started, right? To start doing something and working on something. And a lot of times I end up working on it for longer than 10 minutes, because 10 minutes, like, damn, that's not long enough to work on this thing. But the point is like, as long as I did 10 minutes is good. But I don't need to stop. It doesn't need to only be 10 minutes. The point is to build the momentum of getting into the habit of doing the thing, just moving 10 minutes closer, right? The thing that I watched a video. The thing that made me learn about the 10 minutes a day rule was they had like given themselves a bunch of tasks. They had all these things that they wanted to do. They wanted to write a song. They wanted to clean out their garage. They wanted to clean up the house, like do a bunch of different tasks. And so they said, we're going to do it for 10 minutes a day, every day. And then they started like this garage. They were like, you know, every time it was like, dang, like I got to clean this garage, but it's only going to be 10 minutes. Like I could do 10 minutes, right? And then they realized how much progress they could make in just 10 minutes, which was really, really awesome. It was really powerful. Another thing, and you know, everyone else's journey looks different. Some people take off like rockets, you know, others build slowly and steadily, brick by brick. And, you know, but the truth is slow progress is still progress, right? Just because you're not sprinting doesn't mean you're not moving. And that's not the point. The point is not to move fast. The point is to move. The point is to move forward, right? And sometimes it's the slow and steady path that leads to the most sustainable success, right? Sometimes like the people that are shifting like rockets, and it's like, oh my God, they're moving so fast, right? Like they're making all of these mistakes that you probably wouldn't make, that you're not going to make because you're moving at a slower pace, that you're able to learn and recognize certain mistakes that you are making and be like, oh, I can correct that and I can do better. And then you can move faster later because you've earned the ability to move fast, right? That's how I feel about graphic design a lot of times. Like it took me a long time to get to where I'm at. I've been doing graphic design for, you know, almost 20 years now. And when I started, it took me a long time to figure out like, how do I put this thing here and how do I do this? Like now I could design something like that. I know I could design a website like that, you know, just like tomorrow. If I need to have a site up for something, I can just easily make one. And that's a skill that took me a long time to learn how to do it quickly. And now I can do it where it looks good and it's not a big stressor or anything like that, right? So if you're building something that's going to last, you want a solid foundation. You don't want to rush through the process and end up with something that collapses at the first sign of trouble, right? You want something strong, stable, and built to withstand the storms. And that takes time. So if you're feeling frustrated because you think you're not moving fast enough, I want you to stop and ask yourself, am I building something that's going to last? Because if you are, then the pace really doesn't matter. What matters is that you're moving forward, and that's what's going to take you to the finish line. And finally, I want you to remember this. Your journey is your own, right? No one else can walk it for you. No one else can live your story. So stop trying to fit into someone else's narrative. You have your own race to run, and the only thing that matters is that you keep going. So next time you catch yourself comparing your life, your business, or your success to someone else's, stop. Take a breath. Look at where you were yesterday and ask yourself, have I made progress? If the answer is yes, then you're moving on the right path. Keep moving forward. You've got this, all right? Comparing yourself to others is like running a race and constantly looking to the people next to you. You're going to stumble every single time. Okay? The last thought, I just want you to remember, the only person that you should ever be comparing yourself to is the version of you from yesterday. That's where the real progress is made. All right? And just like that, we are wrapping up another fantastic session here on the Ace Anderson Show. Big love and thanks to everyone and to each and every one of you who joined us live this morning. Your energy and insights light up this community and push us all to level up in every way possible. Now, don't forget, we're here every single Monday morning, bringing that heat to start your week off right. Now, if today's conversation got you fired up, inspired, or just curious to learn more, please drop a comment. I'm going to be posting this to my Instagram. It'll be posted everywhere. Drop a comment, share the stream, tell a friend, because word of mouth is the best influencer, and keep Ace Boogie in your thoughts and prayers, and I promise to do the same. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ace Shot That, and remember, we're on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Snapchat, so come follow your boy, and let's keep the A-team growing strong. Until next time, remember, y'all, to always align yourself with truth, trust, and patience, and I promise you will ace your life. Peace.